Hello and welcome to episode 28 of the HamCorp training manual. In this episode, we quickly solve our power problem, bet you haven't heard that before, and set up the three main Abydos processing lines. Welcome back. I have just finished building the first bulk blast chiller and the first industrial accumulation vessel. And this is my setup for nether air processing, liquid nether air. Like, yes, I had the existing processing over there, but I'm probably going to tear that down. And I also did make nether air down here as part of my whole production line for deuterium and tritium for helium plasma. But now I'm no longer using helium plasma, so I kind of don't need this bottom setup. I decided to leave it in place just in case I ever decide to turn it on, but right now everything is just off. And this new setup is for making helium-3, which is what I need for tin plasma, which is what I now burn. And I did do the math here. I think I screwed something up with the helium plasma because this was burning it way too fast. But this should be more accurate. What it is now is basically I make tin plasma in these two compact tubes with tier 2 neutron reflectors, and I make about 40 millibuckets per second each. And I burn it in these turbines, which have ZPM dynamos and ZPM rotor holders and configurable maintenance hatches set to 1.1x duration for a little more efficiency. This now produces 1 million EU per tick each and consumes 35.6 millibuckets of tin plasma per second. So not only can these be running basically all the time, generating something like 16 amps of ZPM in total, I can also have the tin plasma just build up basically forever. And if I really need to squeeze out another 8 amps of ZPM, I can turn on one more turbine. And this whole setup is basically just scaled so that I can keep this fusion going forever. And if you're curious, this is basically everything is running at ZPM, pretty much, except for the macerators, which run at EV because I'm already doing it at the fastest possible speed, 2 ticks. It's not going to overclock anymore. And the ECR is running at EV as well because it doesn't need to be any faster. The rest is all at ZPM. This thing is actually running at 4 amps of ZPM. And yeah, that's nether air. I've also made a second modular combustion frame, but I need to scale up ethanol before I can actually use this thing because I don't make hog fast enough. I don't even make it fast enough for this first MCF, so needs a bit more work here. Still, I am going to continue working on refurbishing all of this stuff and making it better. Hopefully my power issue is solved now, at least a little bit more than before. It's not looking good. Definitely not looking good. I love the GregTech gameplay loop of I make a ton of power and then 2 episodes later I am completely starved for power. It's the best. I think this is a really cool looking multi. This is the Hydroponic garden, and it makes sugarcane at an insane rate. Absolutely insane. So this has solved pretty much entirely my ethanol issue. These are the machines I'm using for it, which means I have my second modular combustion frame running, so I make a lot of power now. Bet you haven't heard me say that before. I give it about an hour before I feel like it's not enough. But hey, this is filling up at a pretty appreciable rate. Solid 10 million EU per tick-ish. That's pretty good. Until all my machines turn on, and then it's not very good at all. But now I can continue with refactoring the base. So next, probably cleaning up the passives area because it is a little bit of a mess. It's more organized than I expected it to be at this point, actually, but it's still slightly messy. There's some improvements I can make. I can also like close off the building so that it's a little less lawn-basey. That would be nice. I imagine there's also a few new like chemical reactions that have been unlocked to simplify some of these lines, but I haven't looked too closely yet. I don't know, I need to just like fly around the base and see what I can improve. There's also a weird bug I've been having that I'm not able to reproduce in a test world, so I don't know what's causing this. But pretty much every time I restart the server, if I have charcoal in this specific storage bus in the filter, on restart it disappears, so I have to come here every day and reassign the charcoal. I don't know why, but it's been a thing. Anyway, I'm gonna do some beefing up around the base. Okay, so there is some stuff I can improve with the ore generation area. Like I can start using a couple of new multis, but I kind of want to put that off just a little bit, I'm going to get started getting some gritty aquarium. So I'm going to make the Advanced Fluid Drilling Rig 3 because I can't do the Elite one just yet. What I don't know is how many of these I need. I'll probably just start with one, to be honest, and if I need more, then I'll make more. What I'm more concerned about is how I'm going to get stuff between dimensions. Probably with ender tanks, or I could use a quantum ring. Ender tanks are pretty cheap though. But no, I should probably do a quantum ring. This is easy to make at this point. I do need to make some singularities, which are made in a matter condenser. And I have plenty of stuff to just dump into it, like the dust. I have infinite dust. I may as well start using that. Shouldn't take too long. I'll be back once I have a setup. When you're using your matter condenser, don't forget to set it to condenser mode, or else it's gonna just trash items. Anyway, I got my singularity, and the way this works, I'm gonna do this outside, throw it on the floor. I have my tiny TNT, flint and steel, and I blow it up. No! Now, like I was saying, I put a singularity with some tiny TNT, and also an ender pearl, which I forgot last time. And I blow them up together. And that gets me 2 quantum entangled singularities. This allows me to link 2 quantum rings. So one goes in here, and then the other one goes into Abydos, where I will set up my fluid drill. I don't know if flux networks go across dimensions. I guess I'll find out. But if not, I may just have to use ender tanks and ender chests instead. Which doesn't scale quite as nicely as a quantum ring, but it should be fine. Anyway, we'll see. That's just something I realized just now. Still have to craft the fluid drilling rig, so I'm going to do that. Okay, back in Abydos. Let's get to scanning. Alright, that's a lot of gritty aquarium. I should have probably made a better scanner. This is the only one I had. It's fine. I also realized, actually, that there are 4 different fluids I need to get. So I made 4 advanced fluid drilling rigs. I don't know what these numbers mean. Is it genuinely just like the number of buckets or 1,000 buckets or something? Is it just a number that signifies how much it is relative to other numbers? I have no clue. But I gotta search for a while. I wonder if the fluid fields here generate like in GTNH where it's like 8x8 chunks. And it's also possible for it to be empty. I'm not sure. Okay, here's a nice spot to set up a couple of things. There's gritty, there's Abydos Naquadite dense magma, and there's Abydos reactivity dense magma. But I'm pretty sure the specific one I need is, yeah, it's the last one, refractory dense magma. So I'm gonna set up over here, get these 4 things or these 3 things pumping, and then I'll look for the last one. Okay, so here's my little setup. It's all chunk aligned because I don't want to load that many chunks in a separate dimension. Here's the quantum ring. I've put the storage on a subnet just so that when these fill up, it doesn't overflow into my mainnet. That's the only reason. On the subnet, I have storage for each of the 4 fluids. I have wireless connectors going to each of the drilling rigs, and they're drilling really fast, actually. And I still don't know exactly what the number here means, but it's slowly going down. Eventually, I'm gonna have to move these fluid rigs. Slightly annoying, but I can live with it. I got 3 out of the 4 set up. I just need to go find the 4th one, and I will connect it, and I will see you back at base. Oh man, this would have been really the perfect spot to set up. All 4 of them right next to each other. I'm not that far, but I wish I set up here. Okay, all set up. Things are going. I have a lot to process already. That was really quick. And I don't remember if I mentioned, but the flux points do work across dimensions, so powering stuff is super easy. Now, processing line heaven. Let's start with the top route, the refractory dense magma. To make this stuff, I need netherite reinforced mesh, which needs netherite. And to be honest, my netherite production is pretty bad. I have not recovered from making the CSG yet. Maybe that's something I should scale up significantly, actually. I expect to need a lot of netherite going forward. To put together the whole refractory line, I need 2 new multis. These are the ones I mentioned before, the cyclonic sifter and the molten destabilizer. In order to get those 2, I need to scan a large sifting funnel controller and a large fractionating distillery controller. And to actually craft this stuff, it's a bunch of netherite, some ZPM stuff, some UV circuits, you know, the kind of usual stuff. I also need a little bit of gritty aquarium for the controller. Similar thing with the cyclonic sifter. Pretty standard expected items here, nothing new. I do need Thacaloy NQ42X, which is, okay, that's a name. This is, unsurprisingly, an ABS fluid made with Incaloy, enriched NaC, niobium titanium, thallium tungstate, which I don't think I have, and osmiridium, and krypton. Thallium tungstate, luckily, is easy to make. It's just a question of, do I have thallium? And the answer is no. I get this from crocosite, which I get from molten destabilization of reactivity dense magma. Maybe there's some other way to get thallium that I'm not seeing, but as far as I can tell, this is the only way. Which means the molten destabilizer kind of actually gates the cyclonic sifter. I also need quake-proof casings, which are more of the same, and UV machine casings, which are Darmstadium, which is fine. As for the molten destabilizer, enriched NaC, black steel, trinium, CPM casings, heat vents, high temp smelting casings, more enriched NaC stuff. Pretty chill, pretty easy. So this is going to be here first. Most likely, I'm going to make more than one of these. I don't know how many I need, but I guess I'll make as many as I need as I find that I need them. And as for actually processing the refractory dense magma, there are two ways. There's one kind of bad way, I think. I don't know why I would ever do this way, maybe for speed, but the returns are not as good. This is kind of a skip recipe, but you miss out on some byproducts and you get less output than you would have without the skip. Proper processing method is with cyclonic sifting with netherite reinforced mesh. I also get Abydos magma slag dust, which can be centrifuged into strontianite and celestine dust, which are kind of the same thing. They have no other use but to be electrolyzed, and they have almost the same formula. I also get some metal mixture dust and gypsum dust, but that's whatever. But this turns it into refractory dense residue, which can be destabilized again. And this gives me more stuff than the skip method. So this would be preferable for maximum item returns for input. As for what to do with these ores, I don't really see the need to make a big flowchart because it's pretty much done for me by the quest. The scheelite and the monazite are just processed as usual. The xenotime gets turned into dust, which then gets turned into a couple of different fluids, and into rich rare earth dust, which gives me some other stuff, including europium and lutetium. So that's pretty nice. Meanwhile, the titanite, which is the most important thing for me at the moment, gets turned into dust and then processed through a pretty long chain into zirconium tetrachloride, which gives me zirconium, which is the goal of this entire branch, pretty much. So I'm going to set these machines up. Well, first I'm going to craft them and build them, and then I'll take a look at the whole line and see where the bottlenecks are and stuff. I decided to do something a little different with the Abydos ore processing area. It's going to be more Abydos themed. I think that makes sense. So I'm using cut sandstone columns here because they have kind of a nice floor pattern. It's not something I usually do. I feel like such a drastic change in theme might look a little weird, but it could be cool. I don't know. I'll try it out. Maybe it'll just be the floor or something subtle. Anyway, let's place this molten destabilizer. Okay, I'm manually processing just a little bit to get some crocosite, which I'll use to get my thallium, and then I'll make cyclonic sifting, and I'll do this properly. Just a little bit of an ad hoc system right here. That said, I think you can actually just mine it in Abydos, but I didn't feel like going back, so I'm just gonna do it this way. It's fine. Alright, I got my cyclonics going, and I have my 4 molten destabilizers, and I've started to set things up. I have 3 out of the 4 things being processed. I think the aquarium is actually a UHV recipe, so I can't do it yet, but I have a dedicated sifter and a dedicated destabilizer just for that, for when I do eventually get to it. For now, each of these 3 sifters is doing a different recipe, each of these different routes. So there's the reactivity dense magma, there's the refractory dense magma, and there's the naquadite dense magma. One of these is doing each of those, and they're currently off because I am out of netherite, which I will deal with, but it's going to be a little bit. In the meantime, I've hooked everything up to the destabilizers as well. I have storage here for the fluids, so I can scale this up if I need. I also have the lava being stored here. I don't think I actually make lava anymore, but it's kind of an ad hoc thing. I decided to just store it here with void overflow. And all the ores that get produced by this are sent directly into this white ore processing net. So I don't send it through the main net because I don't need to. That's like double filtering for no reason. I just send it straight into the ore processing net, which I've cleaned up a bit. And this is why this episode has taken so long. I made a ton of bulk cells, and I've basically dedicated a bulk cell to each type of dust, and I put down some electrolyzers to electrolyze dusts that have no purpose except to be electrolyzed, and there's quite a few of them actually. So everything is being routed, everything is being automatically processed. I'm just stuck on netherite right now, so I'm probably going to scale that up. But I just want to quickly mention which dusts have further processing required. It's titanite, xenotime, naquadite, and zapolite. Each of those is going to get its own passive processing kind of area, probably like over here or something. And I'm just kind of thinking of it as the same as like a tungsten processing area or a bauxite processing area, or I guess rutile in this pack, or a plat line or a nac line. There's the Abydos lines, there's 4 of them, so I'm gonna put those over here. But first I gotta scale up netherite quite a bit. Whoa, remember how I was talking about netherite being a problem? I don't know what happened, but I think there was a bottleneck here somewhere that I resolved like a few days ago. And I kind of forgot, but I separated out the debris dust into its own super chest, and this has been building up. This is a good amount. I don't think I actually need to scale this much, if at all. Maybe I just overclock stuff. Maybe I should overclock the chem reactor so I get a higher percentage of small piles. I also need to figure out a way to kind of round robin the debris dust so that I'm making both pure netherite dust and also just regular, debris dust, so I can electrolyze it and blast it into netherite. But I'm trying to figure out what a good way to split this would be. Honestly, probably just like a level emitter setup. If I have more than 8,000 debris dust, then start converting it into pure netherite. That's probably the easiest way. Okay, cool. This is solved. And here are 3 out of the 4 Abydos lines. I decided I'm not going to do the naquada one or the naquadite one, because it doesn't get me anything new. It just gets me naquada easily. So when I do need more nac, I will be doing this, but for now I don't see the need. I've done all of the other lines. I've done both branches for refractory magma. So the titanite branch getting me zirconium, and the xenotime branch getting me lutetium, dysprosium, europium, and samarium. And I've done the zapolite branch that gets me zapolgium. But I can't actually blast this yet. It needs tritanium. Well, it needs 10,799 Kelvin, which I may be able to get with the heat from overclocking. But I don't feel like doing math, so I'd rather just make the tritanium coils. I need them anyway, so I do have zapolgium hydroxide in storage though. These lines are pretty short. Well, yes and no. So they're not short exactly. It's a lot of steps, but it only needs a couple of machines. And it seems to be able to keep up with the rate at which I'm producing stuff. So this seems to be more than enough to just have one of each machine for each of the lines. This one is still going because I set it up last, so it hasn't had time to go through its initial stockpile. But it's working. I have some storage here for reasons and stuff and scaling and whatever. I have dusts being sent straight to ore processing as usual, which has also sort of become my bulk dust storage. So all my output dusts are going there. Also oxygen. I made some mega fluid cells to store oxygen and fluorine and stuff. So that's over there. Yeah, pretty much nothing else to say. There's no automation challenge or anything. It's just, it's a line. There was only one loop I can think of. That was in the first one, which is titanite, where I made perchloric acid, and that gets recycled completely. 1/3 of it gets recycled with one recipe, and 2/3 gets recycled with another recipe, so it's not totally obvious that it's 100% recycled, but it is. So I just made one batch, and it's just in circulation. So cool, that is all of the Abydos stuff. Which means I can continue on with progression once again. I can make zirconium, I can make complex neutron reflector casings, which also needs liquid polyether ether ketone, which needs some stuff. Oh boy, is there a questline for this? Yes there is, and here it is. It's not too long, but I think I will probably passive this and not pattern this. Well, I don't know. Okay, this hydroquinone recipe looks a little annoying and slow, but I don't know if it's that bad actually. Especially with the ECR and parallel hatches, it's probably not that bad. Maybe, actually, I might pattern this. This might be a pattern situation. Okay, well, in that case, I have nothing to show. It's just going to be patterned in the back end and you're not going to see anything. So there you go. Anyway, yeah, I can make these complex neutron reflector casings, with which I can finally make tritanium. Mark II fusion with tier 3 reflectors. That's what I need. So I need to upgrade the reflectors. Most likely, I will passive this as well, because it's used for coils, so it's going to be used all over the place. It's made from titanium and duranium, both of which I have plenty of. I'll probably make a new fusion reactor for this. Okay, I got some crafting to do. I don't know how much time is left in this episode, but it's probably not a lot, so I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching this episode of the HamCorp Training Manual. In the next episode, we will continue on with progression, obtaining tritanium coils and properly progressing through UV. Soon, we will be able to put employee consciousness on circuit boards. See you next time.